So welcome to the part one of the relationship workshop. And we'll start as usual with the healing meditation for the earth and people. I'll just mute you all first to keep it nice and quiet. So just take a few deep breaths to relax. I'm aware of any sounds around you. Just bring ourselves into the present moment. Invite all your guides to be with you. We imagine a beautiful golden white light descending upon us from the heavens. It feels soft, warm, and gentle as we breathe it in. It fills our whole body with its beautiful essence, and we are filled with the love of Source. We know we are connected, and we are powerful, creative beings. We see that the light has now joined us together as a group, so there are no individuals, just one heavenly light. We are the group. We are one. We see planet Earth in front of us. She is beautiful, yet strong and resilient. We feel immense love for her. We are aware of a heartbeat, strong and deep within. We feel connected to the beat, and it seems to call to us. It's as though our own hearts have joined with hers, and we are in peaceful harmony with the planet. She is waiting for us. As one, we extend the light out from the group heart center and surround the dear planet in the beautiful, loving light. She draws close as the light pulsates strongly from the group consciousness, gently offering healing to her and all beings. We now see the planet and the group vibrating with the light which has been called forth through the group intention, capacity to love, gentleness, and knowing. The light becomes so bright now that it's difficult to discern the planet from the exquisite light. The light grows bigger and bigger until all that can be seen in the mind's eye is light. There is nothing else. We hold this light and feel its peace. We feel the love and the healing that we too are receiving. A feeling from which it's difficult to depart. It is minuscule taste of the love that has always been. A love that has never left. A love that waits patiently for our return. We feel immense gratitude now. The love we give is being returned in ways we cannot imagine, in amounts we can never understand. We cannot know who will accept what is offered today, but it can never be lost. It stands forevermore as a beacon for all those who seek solace, and it will shine as a beacon until all are home. We continue to watch a little while, knowing this cannot fail, for we are powerful creators. We are the one with source. We are the light. And so the healing is complete. Gently let yourself return to the room. Does anyone want to briefly share from that exercise, that meditation?
If you don't mind, I would like to share that when you said when you said that the line that says something about it will shine for a beacon until everyone is home, somebody interrupted and said, "Do you understand the enormity of that?"
Wow.
Mm.
Was it the enormity of people coming home or the enormity of doing the
The
meditation?
enormity of the fact that this light that we're sending will stand forever until everybody is home.
Goodness gracious.
A little bit cheery.
How nice. The feedback we're getting is we seem to be doing something rather powerful here
Mm.
that we haven't much of a clue of.
No.
There's only 5 or 6 of us, but wonderful. And Judith said something the other day, how many beings turned up. She saw all these great beings arriving, like, for us, 6. Oh, well, so be it. So be it. It always feels good to do, doesn't it?
Mm.
Yeah, it's a nice preparation for a workshop or something. We get blessed.
Yes. And you know, it had occurred to me just then how egotistical I was, thinking that, oh goodness, I'm just it's you know, it's just me doing it. You know, I'm just I'm just kidding everybody. And then when I heard it today, because I haven't heard that, for a few times that I've missed,
Away, yeah.
and I just thought that just I mean, how could that come from a human being? You know what I mean? Like, I mean, I'm sure there's plenty of human beings who write wonderful things. So please don't think I'm not. But it just seems so beautiful.
Isn't it? And you were saying, I don't know if everyone was here, that Jill said she'll be bringing through more that will take the place of this one as a healing for the planet. So there'll be quite a collection of them over the time, won't there?
Maybe.
Sounds like this group is destined to be together. How nice. Thanks, Jill. Lovely. Anyone else wants to share on that? Here comes Judith again. I've committed her 3 times so far.
Three times and she's out. That's it.
3 times and she's out. Okay. Welcome back to you. We just still got the sharing space if anyone wants to say anything from that meditation. And I think you were out when Jill actually received a short message about how powerful one part was that we were saying.
Yes, had a power cut.
Oh, really?
Yes, just as Jill started.
So powerful.
Yeah, it was so powerful it blew the electricity. For me, it was like a welder's flash when we had the light. It was that bright, but that was all I can say. But I'll have to listen to the recording to hear what Jill had to say.
Do you want to repeat it, Jill?
Yes, Judith. When Michael got to the bit, which I'm not really sure of the line, it's something to do with the light shines as a beacon for all eternity.
The light becomes so bright now, that one?
And the light shines as a beacon?
Got a beacon, is it? Has it? Okay.
No, does it say that? And for all eternity. Remember that bit? Until everybody comes home.
Here we are. Here's the line, I think. We cannot know who will accept what is offered today, but it can never be lost. It stands forever more as a beacon for all those who seek solace, and it will shine as a beacon until you're all home. Oh, it can never be lost. So what we've launched is there for eternity. But that's what you picked up, wasn't it?
Yeah. And so the message was interrupting what Michael said, came in and it said, do you understand the enormity of that?
Amazing. It can never be lost. It's a beacon that will never switch off.
Until everybody's home.
Well, I'm happy for everyone to use our beacon. We don't know the half of it. Huh? We're the Earth link. I know when my late wife died, when I was the other side and was communicating instantly with me via emails, via psychic friends. And she said, oh, I'm with your team on the other side. There's a lot of them, parted souls, doctors, angels, and you're the Earth link. So they're trying to get the energy in through the Earth link that goes out, And she said, I can help you now far better on this side of the veil than when I was alive in a physical body, which didn't help me a lot because I was in a lot of grief, but I intellectually understood what she meant. Yeah.
Actually, just that reminds me, involved with another group that are doing a similar thing, doing a meditation. And with that one, it was like we were a group down the bottom of the tree of life, sending energy to the earth, and then there was all beings from other planes coming in from above, adding to that. So so I'm sure it's probably happening with this group too.
Well, you've seen them come in, didn't you? You shared that the other week, I think, Judith.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
and they're just looking for an opening. I think Ananda said once that when people start to raise their consciousness and wake up, to us they come on like lights. And we go, oh look, the lights come on, and they move towards it. Before that, we're so asleep, it doesn't interest them. You know, they can't help us. We're too sex, drugs, and rock and roll. So, a light. So there it comes. Nice. Anyone else before we move on?
Thanks God there is a remember for this, because in my context, in my neighbors, I don't see so much light now. So thank you.
Okay, Paula, thank you. Yes, it can be a bit dim out there. But, you know, you've manifested this group and we've manifested you. So there's no accident there. Vibration attracts each other. Okay. So we start a new workshop. And so this is based on relationships and all the forms the course talks about. It talks about the special hate relationships where we pick someone to hate, to project onto, forgetting that we're doing that because it's inside us, but we need an enemy. Then we have the special love relationships, very popular on the planet. The course describes them as our biggest defense against God. Doesn't sound very romantic, does it? And these are our substitute for God's love. But with the help of the Holy Spirit, we can turn our special love into holy relationships. That's the idea. You don't start with holy, you start with special love. We all do. And then there's a chance to move it. And that's, we use the relationship for forgiveness, honesty, you know, truth, compassion. We're with a teacher. Again, tends to kill romance, I know. But you and the other person may not care anything about this, but you're still in a holy relationship. It doesn't take two people. That's an error amongst students. Like Jesus, when he walked the planet, you know, he was in a holy relationship with everyone. Very few were in a holy relationship with him, as they mainly plotted to kill him or abandon him or betray him. So it takes one for a holy relationship. And of course we would sort of love to have a partner who's also thinks their way, you know. And that's beautiful too. So we know that the purpose of the course is to find inner peace through giving up judgment. And of course, relationships are just brilliant for bringing up all our judgments. And look at the way it came when, for a moment, Helen and Bill joined. You know, Bill said, look, Helen, there's got to be a better way, another way. And they dropped judgments for a moment and opened the door for the Holy Spirit to come in. I'd like to begin just by looking at a few keynotes from the course, and then we'll explore these in detail over time. So relationships are mirrors in which we see ourselves. That's the whole world, the media. The course says, you know, our brother and our sister are our saviors because they show what's in our unconscious. Without them, you know, we wouldn't know what needs healing. We wouldn't have our buttons pressed. We can use all forms of relationship for growth, learning not to judge anyone. So relationships are classrooms of forgiveness. And that's the course. Our day-to-day is a classroom of forgiveness. And the moment we wake up and the thoughts that we have, it begins there if you want to move in that direction. Course says we're teaching every second. We're either teaching hate or love. And what you teach, you reinforce in your mind. So when you teach love, you say, well, I must have had love in my mind in the first place to teach it. And if you teach hate, well, I must have hate in my mind. And so it makes it stronger. And everything is just mind. Even the world is a mental projection. It's something on a time-space screen. Mind is the key. So what you give, you receive, love or hate. What do we want to learn, the course says. And the the penalty for hate and judgment. The Course says in lesson 246, let me not think I can find the way to God if I have hatred in my heart. It's a pretty strong statement, isn't it? You want to go home to God? You got hatred? Forget it. One cancels the other. So we got to end hatred, judgment, forgiveness, and then it appears. It's always there. It's just, you got to take the clouds away. So the Course emphasizes we forgive others for what they've not done to us, which is a shocking statement for the ego. I mean, when we meet someone who upsets us, it's just they're reflecting what's unhealed in us. And we owe them a favor. That's the first stage of forgiveness, to realize it's in us. And so the forgiveness will be of us. And if we succeed, we will simultaneously forgive the other person. We come at peace with them and ourselves exactly at the same moment. Someone who wanted to teach the Course with me, I remember saying once, this is hard stuff, Michael. Let's teach them to forgive others first, and then we'll work on getting them to forgive themselves. And I said, it's the same thing. We never did teach together. No one can give us peace or take it away. This is huge, isn't it? No one has the power to take our peace. They have the power to harm or kill our bodies. Yep, look at Jesus. He said in many places, I use the crucifixion to teach love. That even if they bang nails in my hand, I can still love the person banging the nail in. And in the Way of Mastery series, that's how Saint Germain came. He was one of the Roman soldiers, had eye contact with Jesus, dropped his mallet and walked off, and later on became an ascended master, who was the one who overshadowed Findhorn, we were told. So he started off as a Roman soldier about to bang nails in Jesus. And Jesus said, the crucifixion did not take my peace away. He also managed to step out of his body most of the time, so he felt virtually nothing. Big help. We learn to perceive no separate interests. All are looking for peace and happiness. Now, that's the keynote of the Manual for Teachers. To learn there are no separate interests. So what does that mean? Simply speaking, everyone you meet has the same interest. They want to be happy. Their way may be killing someone else, stealing money. Their interest is to be happy. It makes me happy to kill my enemy. It makes me happy to steal. It turns out they're wrong. They end up with more guilt in the end. But there's no separate interests. We're all after the same thing here. Most of us obviously going in the wrong direction. A book I read early on in my sort of reading career from an ascended master, he said, all sin is looking for happiness in the wrong direction. A good example of no separate interests is Mother Teresa. I think I mentioned that story before for some of you, that when she went to New York with her nuns to open up a home for the helpless and the aged, the local Rotary, the local society to help others, came round to thank her for her social work. She said, I don't do social work. Oh, well, you're picking people out of the gutter, and dressing their world. She got quite angry. She was quite uppity, this lady. Don't tell me I do social work. That's me I'm picking up out of the gutter. That's Jesus I'm picking up out of the gutter. Don't you tell me I do social work. They couldn't really understand, but get the point. She felt no difference between herself and others, and so that she was helping. It's not up to you to change your brother, but merely to accept him as he is. To perceive errors in anyone and to react to them as if they were real is to make them real to you. You will not escape paying the price for this. Not because you're being punished for it, but because you're following the wrong guide and will therefore lose your way. So when you judge another, you simultaneously judge yourself. And you're only judging another because you judge that in yourself in the first place. So when you judge another, you actually are stamping on your own foot. That's the feeling of guilt afterwards. You might get a momentary high by calling them a name or something because they deserve it. But watch your mood a bit later, it'll fall. So it goes back to Rumi's poem. There's no rights or wrong. There's no goods or bad. His poem was, there is a field beyond right and wrong, and I will meet you there. What a difficult one, eh? We've just gone through COVID and jabs and people who enforcing them who know better. No right or wrong, no good or bad. I think when we really learn that, we've graduated from Earth. I was told that in guidance years ago. Michael, you're trying to escape from the Earth. All that will do is connect you to it. Only when you love the Earth will you be able to transcend it. There's no way, of course, we can force ourselves into unconditional love. That's the top of the ladder. You either do it or you don't. It spontaneously occurs when your judgments ended through forgiveness. You're just shining. If you try and act with unconditional love, you just end up with a guilt trip because you fail so often. But we can do this. There's a saying from Plato I like. Be kind. Everyone you meet is fighting a hard battle. We can do that. So that's a few of the keynotes. Anything come up with that? We mentioned the three main relationships briefly at the beginning: special hate, special love, holy. Special hate, this could be to people, and of course it could be to Jesus, to God, anything out there really. It could be politics, it could be the weather, your bank manager. You're blaming others for your unhappiness. That's special hate. You choose a special thing or person. And all it is a gigantic mirror to say what you hate in yourself, albeit in a different form. Special love to people, Jesus, God, your children. But it can be to food. You might have a special love for food or wine. It's your savior. The internet, computers, spiritual books. That was one of mine. 1,500 by the age of 35. Nearly killed me, actually, going to Scotland to Findhorn. So terrible selling my books. I couldn't take 1,500 books to my one room at Findhorn. This guy came in and bought them all, most of them at a very cheap price. I just held on to a minimum 200 or 300. Couldn't let them go. Put them all on cardboard boxes on top of my car. Completely compressed the springs of the car. Coming off the motorway at high speed, I nearly turned the car over. Killed by my spiritual books. Got to watch these special love things, you know. So in our separation from God, we feel there's something lacking in us, something missing. This sort of dark hole in the heart, and we sort of shovel things in. The millionaires keep shoveling more and more dollars, and they want another 5 billion and another 5 billion. Or they shove power in. I need more power. I need more power. And they never get to the top of the power tree. Other people are shoveling in cream cakes. Relationships. Hero worship. And then the goal, the holy relationship, seeing what we're up to, turn it into forgiveness and truth and honesty in our relationships, taking responsibility welcoming the Holy Spirit. See that we've got no separate interests. We're all trying to wake up from the dream and use the relationship to take us home, whether our partner agrees or not. Though it's, you know, we'd love to have a loving Course in Miracles partner. You might get there faster if you're with a very difficult person and you learn to be at peace around them. That could be the fast path. Not that sort of ego choice, is it? But that's could be what you evoke in life. If you're somebody who want to go fast, you may choose a difficult partner. Because as Jesus says, the forgiveness lessons are almost endless. The thing is, when you do learn them all with that person, you'll move on. So I did remember an interesting story. Jack O'Keefe, a woman who had quite a deep awakening at Ramana Maharshi's ashram. And she didn't really have anything really with the husband anymore, but felt she couldn't leave him. And so she just needed to stay with him. But after 2 years, she knew if she didn't leave him, she would die. It was such a wrong path. The energy was such in the wrong direction. You know, she said, I go and see him in Ireland. They were the best of friends, you know, meet his wife, you know. And it was all meant to be. And he said, yeah, it was all meant to be. But traps on the path. Any sharings, questions?
And just when you were talking, it reminded me of something I wrote down the other day about a deeper understanding of the passage, love God with all of your heart, etc. And I thought, yeah, well, it's just, if you're loving God with all of your heart, soul, and mind, then you're loving yourself as well, because there's one. Yeah, because there is nothing but God. So it's like, whatever you're loving, it's God. So, yeah, it just really seemed to strike me the other day when I was reading it.
Yeah, because the trap in the church, they make Jesus and God so separate from us. So they add in worship then and praise, but that just increases the separation. There's a line in the Course where it said, God doesn't have perception to judge your praise and doesn't have an ego to receive it. So that's a waste of a few thousand years of praise. It's gone on deaf ears. Thank you. Anyone else?
This about you don't have any separate interests. It has been hard to understand, I think. What did you say about it?
Yes, it's very simply that the interest of everyone is the same. We're all looking for happiness. There's no difference. We have no separate interests. It's just we vary in the way we go. And most of us, as the wise guy said, sin is happiness, looking for happiness in the wrong direction. But we're all still, Hitler's still after happiness. He wants to create a white, Aryan, beautiful Germany, and everyone will be happy there. And people who oppose him are evil. We have the same interest as Hitler. We want happiness, we want peace. And that could then evoke compassion. You know, you see the pedophiles, you know, it can evoke compassion. They're looking for happiness through this.
Okay.
Anyone else? We could slot in a healing now. So many things we could choose around relationships. Are we up for forgiving another, or relationships is also to ourselves? which is forgiving something in ourselves. Let's have a hand show. Who wants to forgive another? Put their hand up. Who wants to forgive themselves? Heal themselves. Ah! Hands up everywhere. 2 hands up everywhere. So maybe we can somehow do the exercise and choose which one. Okay, we could take a break there and we could try an exercise, I think. I'll try and muster one up out of nowhere. So if you like to close your eyes and relax. Being a bit busy, so a few deep breaths would help. You can imagine breathing that beautiful light that we were sending to the earth. It's all hanging around us now. We made it. So we're in that cloud of beautiful healing light. We're breathing it into ourselves. And our heart's filling up with that light. And we feel that light extend into all parts of our body. We're shining with light. And we invite our guides to be with us. They can share the light with us. Stand by us, hold our hands, smiling at us. Eager to help us. No judgment of us. And the light's having a bit of trouble with one area there. There's a bit of darkness in there. We haven't let the light into it. You can turn to your guides and say, I really like the light to enter into that dark spot in me. What is it I need to heal? This could be in relationship to myself or to another person. I want to be in love with this dark area in my mind. Can you show me? What should I choose today to heal? Nothing comes, you can choose someone you don't like. Or you can choose some aspect of yourself you don't like. Somewhere where you feel a bit weak, a bit ashamed of feeling that way. And now that light that you're breathing in, send it to that person or to that aspect of yourself that needs healing. See if you can lighten it. Make it less dense. Tell yourself it's okay to feel the way I'm feeling, whether it's sad or angry or hateful. I accept this feeling. If you can feel it in the body at the moment, you can put a hand over it. I made you, I accept you. But I'm not trying to push you away. I made you. Ask it, why do I keep you? Why don't I let you dissolve in this light? What is it that I get from you? Why do I accept this pain? As you work with acceptance, breathe some more light into it. See if you can soften it, make it less dark. More like a cloud, perhaps, that's starting to move. Do I really want to keep this? Does it really serve me? You got to be honest. You may want to keep it. You feel that it protects you. If it's a person you're dealing with, perhaps you have more understanding of their pain, their suffering. You can speak to them. Really, they're your teacher. They're showing you something. The peace and love you send them, you'll send to yourself. You might want to say to them, sorry, I've no right to ask you to be different. Take a moment to go back to that area of pain, discomfort. Is it any softer, more cloud-like, more free? And ask yourself, is it time to be free now? Or do I want to keep it longer? Which is fine. If it is time to be free, turn to your guides and say, I know you want my pain, and I will give it to you now. And as I give it to you, can you replace that area in my body with a beautiful star, a powerful star of light? I give you my pain in exchange for the star you'll give me, the strength you'll put into my body now. That star will guide you. Take your time to finish the exercise as far as you got. When ready, just come back to the room and open your eyes. Welcome back, lovely people. Does anyone want to share with the group anything from their journey? Most of you are muted at the moment. Yes, sure.
Yeah, just wanted to add on. Sort of, I was talking to a friend, and it was around relationship and all that, and I had a bit of insight. And then I did some cards, and they were saying about perception, looking at your perception. And then, as I said, the Eckhart Tolle, and then the workshop came on, and so it was like handed it over to the Holy Spirit when this conversation, because the other person's a Course in Miracles person too. And just like hand it over, and it was, and that was only at 2:30, and by 4:30 we were on this call. So it was like all of these. I was given things very quickly to help get out of it. And I realized, wow, so many things so quickly. So it's lovely to see. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Yes, time's our illusion, not theirs. They can pile it all in, can't they?
Yeah. Yeah, I had a lovely talk with Michael. And it was about, I had a strong pain in in my body since a couple of days. And I realized I didn't want to leave it to the light. I already had decided to do a special thing to release it, and I didn't want to leave that and go to the light. So it was so clear that I'm afraid of something. Something is hindering me to do the breakthrough and let the light in. So well, I have to do some work on that, and it was very nice to know. Okay.
Thanks, Lena.
Yeah.
It's nice to discuss that with you. We were talking about some of the quotes from the Course. One was, when the light comes, you rush to the darkness. And it ties up with a quote in the Bible, see God and die. Because they're talking in both cases with the ego, you know? And I think I'll share with you all when I had that chance after 12 years to talk to Krishnamurti. I couldn't take his unconditional love. Michael was dissolving in front of him, so I just walked quickly away from him so I could keep my ego alive. And I waited 12 years for this moment.
What? Did that actually happen?
Yes.
No way.
Oh, very briefly, because I don't want to repeat stories, but perhaps some of you, poor old Jill has heard it probably 20 times, but I give a very brief version because it's a good one. He was my only teacher for 12 years. It's all I listened to. Each year you're finding me at Brockwood Park in England or Simon in Switzerland, listening in very big tents, you know. You couldn't really get to him. He was well protected by secretaries. But in England, after the main talk, we're going to an eating tent. I was walking by and suddenly he was there a foot away on a chair eating his lunch. And I didn't have time to think. I just stared at him. He gave me a serious look back. I just thought, what a wonderful old man you are. And I just stood there looking at him as wonderful. And he stood up, put his food aside, opened his arms. This beatific smile came over his face. He walked towards me. And I walked off very quickly. I couldn't stand there and receive that love because see God and die. My whole ego was crumbling, you know. I hadn't experienced this sort of power. And I dreamed of this moment. I know how to handle special love. I love you if you love me, and if you don't, there's a problem, you know. But this stuff, Devin's in shock.
I'm actually gobsmacked right now. What?
Don't you know we're terrified of
Wow.
the real thing?
Yes, but how come that never came up?
Oh, because I've told the story so many times, I thought Jill might kill me if I said it again. So anyway, I'll carry on with the story. Jill's still smiling, so that'll be all right. I looked back and somebody was talking to him. I thought, miss that. 12 years I waited for this. And I went around all day going, you missed it, you twit, you know. It's getting near sunset. And I was going past the school and he lives on the second floor at the end. And I looked up and he was leaning out of the window, waving at me. So I waved back. I was at a safe distance of 100 meters. He couldn't get any nearer to me. You know, he's one floor up. And he just waved and beamed at me. And I thought, thank you. It wasn't until I discovered the Course in Miracles that I realized what had gone on. And the Course lists our fears. The second greatest fear is God is angry and he has vengeance towards us or will attack us. And you see this, especially in the Old Testament. He's sending floods and locusts and killing off the firstborn. He's doing a real great job of his vengeance. But the top fear, the love of God. See God and die. The ego, it says, dissolves in the presence of that love. And boy, do we want to hang on to our egos. Does that make sense, Devin?
Wow. Yes, it does. It does. It just sounds so surreal. Still, in a way, though, like there is this person who's just giving love, and we're running away from it because we can't take it.
I've seen it in relationships where I was with a rather difficult relationship. It wasn't very deep, and I remember she was sitting on the floor, and I was suddenly become with a wave of love, and I turned to her and just looked at her with this love, and she squirmed. I saw her whole body squirming, her legs moving, like, stop it. And I
Yeah.
thought, oh, yeah, the Krishnamurti moment. And here we go around his ego saying, all I want above everything is love. Really? All above everything else is special love.
Oh, wow. Well, thanks for sharing that again, and thanks, Jill, for bearing it.
Thanks.
You know, I don't I don't want Michael to repeat it again because not because it's boring, but because it hits such a chord in me, it makes me cry.
Oh,
Because I know exactly.
what are you crying about, Jill? I'm interested.
You know, it's awful because I know that's what holds us back.
Mm,
And it's so sad
yeah.
because it's so close.
Oh,
It's within it's not even a millimeter away. It's right there, begging you to accept it, truly begging you actually to accept it. And we're just too frightened because I don't know whether it's because we'll disappear or we think we don't deserve or because it's so enormous, I don't know, we can't cope with it. And that's why I don't like him to repeat it, not because I think it's boring.
I think you'll have us all in tears in a moment, actually. You touch on the chord, you know. That it haunts me. There's a line in the workbook where it talks about our ego. And it said, you know, will you put your ego toys away? Will you come home? Oh, holy Son of God, will you come home? Perhaps today. How long, oh, holy Son of God? How long? You can see we could do it now. Love waits on welcome, not time. All of us could be home. Oh. So we have to find out, you know, what have we chosen instead? You know, Lena was talking about this. Why won't I let the light in to heal? I mean, she hit the nail right on the bottom. We're afraid of the thing we want most because we got to swap something for it. My special vital individuality, I'm of this, I'm of that.
It's so dreadful because, and I'm sure everybody's feeling it. It's not just me. It's just that I often, a lot of the time, most of the time, and I know I'm repeating myself, but I don't know how.
Please, please.
It's right. It's there, right there. It's not even out there. It's in here. It's right in here, and it's just too much. We just don't know we don't know what will happen if we just do it. If we just do it, and so we stay in this. May not seem miserable, but it will appear to be miserable once we do decide to take it.
Yeah.
And we hold ourselves back. We can't blame anybody else, and we know that. And but it's right there, right inside of you right now. As this, and this emotion is a good thing, I think, because it's a soft emotion, isn't it? It's not like it's you know, you're crying because you know there's something really bad happening. It's a good feeling, even though it is sad and emotional.
Yeah. Yeah. And you, Jill, in particular, when we go to the meditations and you forget everything I say and this light appears, which is like a symbol of what you're talking about, and you feel it's so close and it overwhelms, you know?
Mm.
And I think you, more than most people, are aware of how close it is, and therefore how terrifying it is.
Mm.
And that's what the forgiveness is about, isn't it? Forgiving ourselves for not letting that in.
Yeah.
And you know, I believe this to be true. Of course, it may not be. On that forgiveness. I mean,
You froze for a moment there. We might have lost a couple of words. Say it again.
okay. I said I think that it's time that we focused on that forgiveness, forgiving ourselves for not accepting what is, you know, it's almost like pleading us to just do it, just do it, just do it, you know. And I think it's time we did that. I mean, I just was talking to Devin about I actually felt just before we went into that meditation, I felt really queasy, really a bit, sick in the stomach. And I'm thinking, I haven't eaten anything today that could have been off. I actually feel okay now. And so when we went into the meditation, I was thinking, oh, I don't feel good. I really don't feel good. And before we started, and Devon said the same thing, we felt really tired. Like I could have just fallen asleep before we even started the meditation. And then in the meditation, I really didn't do anything. And then there was just a moment when I thought, I shouldn't be doing this. I shouldn't be forgiving some person or a pain in my body. I should be focusing on like the light. And I think that's what's made me say maybe we all need to start just forgiving ourselves for not accepting what is there and what we're being asked to be.
What do you think of the idea of us doing, when we do a healing for the earth, do one where it's reversed and we actually, as a group, accept the love in?
That's one part of that one, isn't it, Judy? There's a couple of lines on that, but you're saying like expand it.
Yeah, I mean, we could do that for the earth, but as a group, accept the love in for each other and ourselves. Do you know what I mean?
It does actually say that what you're giving out is actually coming back to you in ways that you can't imagine and in amounts that you can't, or something like that. But we don't actually accept it, do we? You know what I mean? We don't actually say, "Oh yeah, okay, now I'll
Yeah.
visualize that and just take it for myself." It is pretty much what I was saying, but I think it's actually more than that. It's a real. I mean, and that's a start, though. I think that's a really good start.
The lines we're referring to here is we feel the love and the healing that we too are receiving, a feeling from which it's difficult to depart. It's a minuscule taste of the love that has always been, a love that's never left, a love that waits patiently for our return. So you're saying, Judith, like to emphasize that, are you?
Yeah, whether in this, am I on? Yeah, either in that exercise or just do something separate where we do some forgiveness for ourselves and then let it in.
Well, I suppose we could, I can make up something as I go along where the focus is really letting it in. But what you might see, of course, is what Lena was talking about and others. You then hit the block. It's on the other side of the door. So can we let it in, or do we deal with the block to the awareness of love's presence, But that could be an exercise. You could do both. You can see if it comes in, and if it doesn't come in, well, then we'll work with the block, Be done. That could be done at the right time. And that's all to do with relationships to ourselves and our relationship to God. If you want to remind me of that in the future sometime, Judith, I'll try and come up with something at the time. Amazing if we do one of these and one of us wakes up sometime during the exercise. Or we all wake up during the exercise. Anyone else before we finish? As you know, I'll be jetting off on Tuesday. So the next one will be in July, the beginning of July, be a healing session.
It
I
truly
don't think
does.
No, I don't think I can participate then in the beginning of. I be on traveling to Denmark. Yeah.
I'm coming back. You're going out. There's always recordings. You can always listen. Was it Devon trying to say something? No.
I just had an impulse. Now that we're talking about just, you know, like letting the love in. And I feel like sometimes there are short little periods where, now that we're talking about it, I can get the same feeling in my chest again. It's almost like a bit of anxiety around, really, like, when I think about letting the love in, because it's so expansive. It feels so like monstrous, but like in the best way. And it's just like, you know, that if you let that in, everything will change, like just everything, like your relationships, the way you eat, the things that you do, just everything. And it's just like, is it really time to, can I? It's overwhelming.
And else when you're doing channeling and like a Jesus energy comes in or Arcturian, I perceive you enjoy those energies. Is that because they're not too strong?
Because it's not too strong. It's
Right.
not too strong. Like, it's like Jesus again feels very grounding. The Arcturians sometimes feel very like ding-a-ling-a-ling up here, but it's not. I think in the beginning I had it. Like in the beginning there was it's almost like I'm about to pass out, just because like the energies are so intense and the body cannot really can't even hold it, because in the end it's not meant to. We're only in the body because of the ego. And I don't know, it's yeah, I don't know, overwhelming, ecstatic. It's hard to describe.
Yeah.
As they say, it cannot be described. It can only be experienced.
And what brings to mind is this is why we have to purify the physical body with the right liquids of water and food and sun and exercise, because this energy is trying to express itself in a body. And if the body's not up to it, the body has problems.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
You know, about the you know, getting upset and about when Michael talks about that experience that he had. The feeling I get is that, and it happens all the time, even sometimes I've had dreams about that. Is it's because I think this is it, that I don't deserve it, or because yeah, just because I don't deserve it,
Yeah.
even though everything in the course says you do deserve it. It's like maybe, you know, using something very 3D, you know, somebody wins an Oscar. See, for instance, if I was an actress and I won an Oscar, I would not think I deserve. I would feel like, you know, oh God, they must have made a mistake, you know, and that's how it kind of feels like, oh, that can't be right, you know, like you must have made a mistake, Jesus, you know, because I couldn't possibly deserve that kind of love. That's where it is for me. I'm almost sure.
Yeah.
And
That's
the specialness.
very good, because the course says you think you're a guilty sinner, and the psychological law is guilt demands punishment, not not the opposite, you know, guilt demands punishment. So to be blessed beyond all measure doesn't seem to make any sense. I should be whacked over the head instead.
Yeah, and that's the sad thing, is that's why we're punishing ourselves. You know, nobody else is actually punishing ourselves for our past, or, you know, whatever we may do that we're judging ourselves for. Nobody else is doing that, you know. And that's the sad thing, you know, we pass over and we're judging ourselves again, aren't we? Because we come back again and go, yeah, you better go through that again with that person.
In the course, it gives 4 different reasons for sickness, and you might have more than one reason going. But one of them, it said, you punish yourself to mitigate God's punishment. You're so afraid of what God's going to do to you, you beat yourself up. And that can be poverty, rusty cars, sickness in the body, So God comes along and says, yeah, you're suffering enough, but Michael seems to be smiling too much. I'll go over him and straighten him out.
Mm.
Yeah.
What I got is this sense of like specialness. It's like, why am I so much more special than everyone else if I was to receive that love? Because other people are still suffering and they're not getting it. I'm like, we're all the same, so there shouldn't be any specialty. But it kind of feels like that along the same
It's like
lines.
that. But I think the answer is in that question there, that it's available from everyone. Hitler, Stalin, you, if they just love waits on welcome. It's just some people get to that point to say, it's welcome. And the other thing I was going to say to Jill was that I love it when I first came across it. And it says, when you say these things, that you're not worthy of this, and not worthy of that, you're being arrogant. Arrogant? Yes, because you believe your opinion of yourself, while God thinks you're the most beautiful thing he's ever created. And God's wrong and I'm right. And that's arrogance. So that's beating ourselves up is arrogance.
And what's amazing is that you can read them and you practice, try to practice them, and you do your forgiveness lessons. So you know it in theory.
Yes, in theory.
In theory, and you think, well, I know this is true. I mean, if you ask me, I would say, I know this is true. I am, the child of God. I understand that. But
There it is. There it is.
yeah, it
Yeah,
is.
Yeah.
Get to master the metaphysics, at least to a degree after all, and you say, well, hang on, I'm still a Christ. I'm an eternal formless being. Nothing's changed. I'm just having a dream. Why don't I just wake up, and accept my Christhood? I accept being a Christ, Yeah, but it's going to cost you. Cost you your ego.
I think I've said this before that, of years ago or a couple of years ago, while we've been doing this anyway, that sometimes when we're talking about it like now, more so than in meditation, just talking about it, it just feels like, well, go on, just take that just move a millimeter in front of yourself, or just move within yourself 1 millimeter, and you've got it. And there's something, and I cannot grasp hold of what it is that stops me. It's like like cotton wool, because that's how it feels, like pink cotton wool, actually. That's how I vision, and it's just like, wow, it's no big deal. It's so flimsy, but just can't do it.
Well, not yet. Maybe next week. Maybe in 10 minutes' time. Lovely. What a lovely group. Lovely sharing. They said there was a lot of light in this group. That's why they gave us the exercise. So you don't get many conversations like this running around, do you? Really? Well, my friends, time to go. Time for me to have my dinner, and you have to wake up to your days or whatever you're doing. So I look forward to seeing you all in about 4 weeks. I'll come back from the Germans, where I will bring the truth. And if they do not accept it, I'll cut their heads off, Sorry, I had a life as a crusader, so it just came out there. As the Germans, they need strong hands. Would you agree, Devon?
Beg your pardon.
I can never picture Devon as a German. She's American to me, but she's German. So.
I'm curious.
You're curious? Yeah. Say something in German, Devon. Prove you're a German.
Es war schön, mit euch allen zusammen zu sein, und jetzt wünsche ich euch einen schönen Abend. Bis bald.
She's German. It always puzzles. Okay.
Have a good time. Be safe, and take lots of photos and
Photos.
yeah, are you going to post anything?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I don't take photos either much either. Just a little one or two of the kids and maybe one at the workshop. Yeah, I'm not a social media guy, but I'll take one or two. Yeah. Okay, guys, lovely being with you. See you in a little while. Go and let God in. He's waiting. Everything's freezing up on the screen. How interesting. I don't know if you can hear me. Everyone's frozen except me. And there's Devon with her hand frozen. This is amazing. I've never seen everyone freeze up. There's those ETs playing with my computer again. And you're still all frozen. I don't know if you could even hear me